Welcome to today's episode of the Denver Broncos' quest to plug holes on their roster ahead of the trade deadline. The trade deadline is November 4th, and the Denver Broncos are trying to win a Super Bowl this season. However, I don't believe their roster is quite in a position to do so. The trade deadline could be a perfect opportunity for the Denver Broncos to strengthen some of these weaknesses and put their roster in a much better position to compete for a Lombardi trophy. Today, we're going to be focusing our attention on a position we have yet to talk about. Mike Klis of 9 News went on Dover and Cecil of 104.3 The Fan, and kind of unprovoked, he said that the Denver Broncos could be in line to make an addition at wide receiver. That shocked me a little bit. I thought the Broncos were content with what they had in their wide receiver room, and I believe they still are for the most part. But if the right opportunity arises, I would expect the Denver Broncos to be somewhat aggressive and at least make a couple of phone calls. Today, we're going to talk about a wide receiver who has been linked to the Broncos via Broncos country and a couple of trade rumors on the internet. We actually just played against him, A.J. Brown of the Philadelphia Eagles. After losing 2 straight games, things are starting to spiral out of control in Philadelphia. A.J. Brown, for the past couple of years, has been voicing his frustration about his role in the offense. He feels he's not getting enough targets. Low-key, the way that he's been acting kind of gives off diva wide receiver vibes. Sean Payton hasn't usually put up with that stuff. But if you're a really good player, he will put up with it. And at least within the last few years, A.J. Brown has produced at a really high level. So we're going to break this trade down like we would any other video, and we're going to discuss, would an A.J. Brown trade really make sense for the Denver Broncos? Let's start off by taking a look at his production. He is 28 years old, so that is something to take into account here. Wide receivers, once they get on the wrong side of 30, that's when they start to have a dip in their production usually, and Brown is getting closer and closer to that point. So, if we look here, this season, he'd be on pace for the worst year of his career. He's got 25 receptions on 45 targets for 274 yards and just 1 receiving touchdown. 2 years ago, A.J. Brown was producing at an elite level, 100 catches for 1,456 yards and 7 touchdowns. Year before that, 88 catches for 1,496 yards and a whopping 11 touchdowns, tying his career high. Now, is A.J. Brown's lack of production this season the fault of his own, or is it the fault of outside factors, kind of like he's alluded to? I think it's a combination of all of the above. A.J. Brown has had some moments where it feels like he's taken some plays off, kind of slowed down running his routes, that kind of stuff, but Jalen Hurts has overthrew him quite a few times, and I don't think he's getting the target volume that he should get. I agree with him in that sense. That's partially on the offensive coordinator, Kevin Patullo. Kevin Patullo has been under some heavy scrutiny in Philadelphia, so I believe that he does bear some responsibility for this as well. This isn't all on A.J. Brown, but A.J. Brown does have to look in the mirror here and realize that some of this is on him. The Eagles might get to a point where they're frustrated with his antics. It seems every single time he talks to the media or posts something on Twitter, it's usually a dig at the Eagles. Multiple times he's scrubbed his social media of anything related to the Eagles. So I think the Eagles might get to a point where they're just fed up with A.J. Brown and they're ready to move on. If that happens, could the Denver Broncos be the team that pounces? I want to go ahead and bring in this hypothetical trade here from Ryan Shea of Fantasy Sports on Sports Illustrated. This mock trade, the Denver Broncos would receive A.J. Brown and the Eagles would receive Marvin Mims and the Eagles' 3rd round pick this year. One downside to trading Marvin Mims is that you're losing not only a contributor as a receiver, but also a contributor as a punt returner. And that's the even bigger role that Marvin Mims has been playing, punt return and kick return. I think that's why the Denver Broncos would not want to include Marvin Mims in a hypothetical deal to get A.J. Brown. Maybe another wide receiver in the room, possibly Troy Franklin, but I don't see that. They're both young, emerging players. Why would you want to trade away one of your young, emerging players? A.J. Brown's also an X wide receiver. He plays that X position, which is the same position that Courtland Sutton plays. It doesn't make sense from a schematic perspective. It doesn't really make sense from a locker room perspective. Sean Payton traded away a talented wide receiver in Jerry Jeudy, sent him to the Cleveland Browns for 5th and 6th round picks because he was done with his drama and his diva-ness. A.J. Brown would bring that exact same crap if he's not getting the rock. I don't think Sean Payton wants to put up with it. I really don't. And the main reason why I don't think the Denver Broncos would go after A.J. Brown, he's expensive as hell, man. You look at his contract. Next year is when the big money really starts to kick in. $23 million cap hit in 2026. 22 in 2027. 27 in 2028. And $29 million in 2029. By that point, he'll be 32 years old, and I question if he'll be producing at a high level at that age. So, for me, no. I am not making this move. I am staying the hell away from A.J. Brown. It does not make sense. I don't think the Denver Broncos would be smart to make this move. He's aging. He's a diva. Yes, he's a productive wide receiver, but he complains a lot when he doesn't get the rock, and Sean Payton will be the first guy to tell you he doesn't put up with that nonsense. He just doesn't do it. So, yeah, I don't think the Denver Broncos are going to go after A.J. Brown. I know the fan base is going to continue to talk about him, and even some in the local media, but no, if the Broncos are going to go after a wide receiver, it's not going to be a number 1 caliber receiver. Mike Kliss said that it would be more likely a number 2 caliber receiver. We'll discuss some other names later on, but I wanted to get this A.J. Brown video kind of done and out of the way here and dispel it now before this becomes a popular narrative in Broncos country, or an even more popular narrative than it already is. So, yeah, A.J. Brown, nope, I don't think he's coming to Denver. I don't even think he gets traded, quite frankly, but if he does, some other team out there is probably going to get the short end of that deal. I think the Broncos are going to stay away. Alright guys, be sure to leave a like on this video as well as subscribe and ring the bell so these videos appear in your notification feed. I would really appreciate it, guys. Those are both free and easy ways to show your support. It helps tell YouTube's algorithm to push us out, and it helps us get seen by more and more members of Broncos country just like you and me. Additionally, if you guys want to go above and beyond in supporting the channel, please consider becoming a channel member today. I would really appreciate it if you would consider it. It's not mandatory whatsoever, but if you want some extra perks and incentives in exchange for helping me out and helping the channel grow, I would really appreciate it if you would consider it again. The link is in the description below. Alright guys, before we get out of here, I want to tell you about the affiliate partner for today's video, Green Gridiron Helmets. Use code DENSYN, DENSYN, link in the description below, to save off your first purchase on authentic NFL helmets. From small replicas like this one behind me to full-size authentic helmets, they've got it all. Again, that is code DENSYN, DENSYN, link in the description below, to save off your first purchase from Green Gridiron Helmets. Thank you so much to them, and until next time guys, I'm your host Gage Madrid, saying peace out.